Hey guys, Joie is back. We took a week off. She had her competition up in Carolina last week, and she did great, 4th place. She's got an upcoming show in another 2 to 3 weeks, I believe.
Yeah.
And we're rooting for her to, take it all. She also had a little bit of an accident this weekend, so we've got to take care of that at this appointment. So, how did you feel on stage, and some of the improvements that you noticed from this competition from what we're doing?
I felt great. I felt like my posing was so much easier. It was easier for me to move. I didn't feel so uncomfortable holding those poses for so long. I noticed just a huge difference, and a huge difference with me walking. I usually have a bit of a crookedness to when I walk, and even my family members noticed that it looked better. So it's definitely a huge improvement. I'm so grateful that I'm starting to get better. So it was a win for sure.
So today we're going to focus a little more on probably the hands-on therapy today. Get her feeling better after this car accident that she was just recently in. We're probably not going to do as much exercise today, and definitely more therapies, and get her feeling better and get her moving back in the right direction. And then we'll do a little bit more next week, get her back into that exercise therapy. So, all right, guys, stay tuned, and we'll go from here. So even without seeing us for a week, she's definitely still a lot less hypertonic in this left lumbar. So even without any treatment for almost a week and a half, she's still doing better. So that's still very encouraging. So one thing we look at is how the feet are a little bit short over here on this right side. So she's a little bit short on this leg, and as we bring it up, it still stays fairly short. So that's partly because this muscle is really pulling up into this side, where she gets a lot of that compression. So we're gonna dig into this upper glute, and then we'll recheck it. Since Joie's contest and a lot of her posing has to create a lot of anterior tilt and a lot of lumbar extension, we want to focus on, we're going to release this line right through here, okay? So we want to get into his hammies quite a bit. Her hammies to have a lot of tension in there. Calves aren't so bad today, but you can tell that hammies, glutes, and through that lumbar spine is a little bit more hypertonic, and we're going to take care of that. Get some manual therapy, do a little bit of a gua sha, some with a rock blade, and we'll go from there. So interesting enough, this left hamstring, which is typically not her one that is primarily tight, when we put pressure on that, she starts getting that nervous system tightening up, and she's getting it through the chain. So all we're doing is adding pressure, and it's crossed. It's not uncommon to see it in the same leg, but it's very uncommon to see it crisscross to the body and create that tension right there. Tension had calmed down quite a bit at our last visit, but since we haven't been able to keep up for the past week and a half, We can tell that it's kind of regained a little bit, and you can just see where it goes. My only assumption that I can assume, because we see very rarely you see this, it's just the fact that Joey had been diagnosed with scoliosis since the age of 6. So that torsion and that tension that's occurring in all of the spinal cord and the nerve roots, just her body has been tensing up to try to create a support system against this winding that is occurring. When she first came, her lower back was like working on a tile floor. It was super tight, hamstrings were super tight, glutes were super tight. So we've kind of worked through that quite a bit, where her back is way less hypertonic. But you can see how the nervous system wants to gather it back up. So when we're putting pressure into this hamstring, she gets a little bit on that opposite leg.
I kind of want to punch you right now. So I'm just gonna say it. It will make me feel better.
You're not the first person to say that. It's fighting. We're going to keep steady tension on this muscle, just like we did in the lumbar spine a couple episodes ago, and it will relax. It just takes time. It's like a tantrum.
Good. That was it.
And again, that is completely unintentional. Like, she is not doing that herself. It's sending Morse code. SOS. But see how the hamstring is calmed?
Mm-hmm.
So the hamstring is calm now, but now it's up here in the glute and the pelvis. Same area, same amount of pressure. And there it is. It's finally calmed down. Same amount of pressure. We're just holding this steady 15-pound pressure on there. So it's finally calmed down. So this little thing, it's a technique I came up with. What we're using is a rubber tip that's very small, and we're getting just next to the spinous process, away from the more superficial layers of the lumbar erectors, and we're trying to approach the deep lumbar musculature, and getting some relaxation and some trigger points out of that. It's very hard to get to without a tool, so I kind of created one. When she walks, when she's taking her walk, she doesn't recruit her hip flexor and the sagittal plane effectively. What she does is she takes this step, and then when this has to come around, she wheels it around. Like, I'm gonna over exaggerate, but she comes back, her heel pops out, and then she whips it forward to come back around. But it's not a purely sagittal plane motion. She's over recruiting her inner thigh, and it looks forward, but if you look closely, her foot flies out and then it comes forward. So let's take a look at her feet when she's walking, and just take some steps. Just walk. You can see how the first contact, come on back. And then just take a few big steps. It will flip around. That's what we're dealing with. So we're going to release her hip flexors primarily in here. We had been focusing a lot on this crisscross pattern, but we're noticing that this is not working as well. So now we're going to try to deal with that pelvic. She's been in a strong anterior pelvic tilt for so many years, and we've been working on releasing the back side of that. Today I want to try to really dig into that hip flexor and see if we can start working on this the pelvic alignment in this sagittal plane in this front and back position. Okay, pick that left leg up in here. There it is. Good. Relax it, relax it, relax it. There it is. Takes a little while to get down deep enough. You have to kind of go very easy in through this side portion of the rectus abdominis. Try to ease through. We've got a lot of abdominal tissue, organ, intestines that we have to kind of ease through. This is a very uncomfortable therapy, but we're going to try to release this guy. So what we're doing is a little bit of a pin and stretch. So, you know, we're adding pressure as close as we can to the psoas, and then we're allowing her to do a little eccentric, straightening it out, just pin and stretch, and then no concentric. I'm gonna just pick it up myself. Let's do that one more time. Slow and steady. Good. Cool.
Is that done? It's okay, thank God.
All right, so a little recap of what we did today. We got some of these hamstrings to loosen back up today. You saw how her nervous system kind of regained a lot of that tension to where when we were working on the left hamstring, her right hamstring and glute were just going crazy. They were just really creating this little spasticity and tightening and loosening, completely out of her control. She's not able to control this at all, which is really interesting. And then we went into the left hip flexor, try to get some release. We're gonna try to start to unwind that pelvis and get it to level off a little better in that sagittal plane. You know, let's see how she responded. She's probably got a lot of bad things to say about it today, but you know.
No, it was a little uncomfortable, I'm not gonna lie, but hopefully it will all keep helping me. So yeah, I'm feeling a lot better, and I'm excited for what's going.
Describe a little bit of how you feel when we're doing the hamstrings, and what did you feel and what couldn't you feel?
Well, it was really uncomfortable, but I couldn't feel my leg moving or my glutes moving. I can't feel any of that. I can feel the pressure, but I wouldn't even know my leg was moving unless I could hear it hitting the table. So I mean, I can't feel any of that.
So we're going to keep trying to work on releasing her, and next week we're going to do a lot more strengthening and get her back into it, and we're going to try to continue to make good strides. So really looking forward to everything.